Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the big island of Hawaii. I don't know where you are, but whatever it is, I hope you sit down, relax, enjoy yourself today. Questions, please go into the chat room, ask questions if you want. If you do want to come on, you're going to have to send me an email or a link because you need a special link to come in. But it's open. Anybody wants to ask questions, please do. You got answers, call in, give us an answer, or put it in the chat room. But to start off today, there's a lot going on with this virus. The protesting of it is pretty bad. I don't know where people stand in general. I feel I have my own viewpoints. I don't want to get into too detail, but the certain people make the wrong issues the most important issues of the planet. We got a lot of problems with the planet right now, rather than worrying about one specific thing. Now, the space shuttle went up. We'll talk about that. What's happening in the UFO world, we'll talk about that. And we're going to talk about aliens today, tomorrow, and the future as well. Now, let me say this before we go into the show. Personally, Tina and I have direct experiences with what we talk about. So it's not like we're making things up and we just want to tell stories or we're telling somebody else's stories. So with that, sit back. Like I said, enjoy it, get what you can out of it. We always try to give people something to take home or keep home with them while they're there. I guess everybody's locked in pretty much still. So I'll let Tina say hello and introduce herself.
Hi, everybody, and hello, Tommy. I'm Tina Bird here in the UK on Encounters with Tommy and Hive. I run Hive, Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials. So I write a blog and we'll do weekly shows with Tommy. I'm a alien abductee and not a contactee because people like to say contactee. And Tommy's right. On this week's show, we hope to be running through everything Tommy said. We're starting in a minute with the new SpaceX launch, which is historical this week, and we carry on from there. But hello, everyone from the UK, and hope everyone across the water there, across the pond in Hawaii and the States are in good health. And Tommy, shall we start? I'll go into our first of all, I must say, I think he's getting a very good following here in the UK. The best thing, I think, he has a sense of humour, and the Brits found him very down to earth with his tip to Ripley and Sigourney Weaver. I just had to mention that. The dummy pilot they sent up on the SpaceX when they was testing it, they called it Ripley from Aliens, so that was very apt, and the British people really like that. So well done, Elon, and congratulations to Elon Musk and all the SpaceX team in the States as very historical private launch with Elon, with SpaceX. Made the history of the first private company to launch humans into space. They were NASA astronauts, I believe, and forgive me if I pronounce your names wrong. I believe it was Doug Hurley and Bob Benkin. Not sure if I pronounced that right, probably didn't. They were crew on board Dragon, which is a Falcon 9 rocket launch from Cape Canaveral. That's the first time any one of them's been into space since the Atlantis space shuttle. Sending astronauts into the International Space Station. And of course, I love it's a woman's touch. So tilts the caps off to Elon Musk again. With the launch pad rocket, he's the drone ship in the middle of the ocean. Of course, I still love you. That has to be a tip to his wife or his project. Well done, Elon, on that. See, he's very sentimental and also has a sense of humour. So also, I'm not sure where Tommy's popped off the screen for a second then. If you can hear, this week, after space launch, it was noticed that a small object was seen during this. So they're supposedly spotted during takeoff from Cape Canaveral. 1 second. Oh, there's Tommy. Hello, Tommy. I was just talking about Cape Canaveral for a second.
Touched the mouse and it shut the screen off.
Don't do that again. So I was just saying that a UFO was spotted during the launch of SpaceX. Someone has footage of it. They analysed the footage. So as the SpaceX took off from Cape Canaveral, a small UFO was seen just behind to the left of the rocket during the space launch. So I've covered everything I wanted to, but on another note, still on the space launch again this week, which is a huge step for mankind, Japanese have now announced that they have an interstellar tech to compete with SpaceX. Takafumi Harari. I do apologise. I'm terrible with language and people's names. On May the 4th, they did a launched test rocket which reached 70 miles above the Earth before falling back into the Pacific Ocean. So it looks like interstellar space travel will be possible for the Japanese. I'm not quite sure where they're going. Excuse me, but it would be really nice to find all these innovations moving forward. But the first one from Cape Canaveral for mankind has been Elon Musk. Tommy, over to you.
All right. Just so you know, Tina has her viewpoints on a lot of things. I have mine. We don't agree on everything, especially people and what's happening in certain worlds. I said we're going to talk about the future as well for major reasons, because Elon Musk is responsible for a lot of things going to happen, and so is Tesla. Now, the future is going to be really bizarre. I mean, people talk about the world's going to be spiritual, compassionate, but if you look at what's happening right now, what Elon Musk is really doing, he's planning on putting 2,400 satellites up by next year. There's going to be bands and bands of satellites around the whole planet, from top to bottom. If you look at his graph of how it's going to look, it looks like a giant grid map around the whole planet, which
Starlink?
Means...
Starlink,
what was it?
Is that right? Starlink? Is that what it's called? Starlink?
Well, that's what he said, called the first link he sent up. But there's going to be so many of them around the planet. Don't forget, all these little things have forms of radiation or create radiation with the signals bouncing back and forth and everything. And that's only one little problem. Now, Tesla, I know it's not alien, but they were talking about putting Tesla's car on Mars. All right. So here's the thing. Tesla said the cars will be driving themselves by the end of the year, completely. By next year, it's going to be completely overturning all cars in the world, meaning all cars will be able to drive themselves. Now, obviously, people aren't going to have money to buy those cars, so I don't think it's going to be the whole population, that's for sure. But the other thing is, he said they're going to be 200 to 300% better than a human driving the car. We're not talking about an alien. We're talking about a computerized chip driving the car. And he says that the chances of error and everything else is 200 to 300 times better than a human being sitting behind a wheel.
I know they've been having problems with people falling asleep. They've been showing film, haven't they? Is it the Sheriff's Department in America? Been showing films of people driving by on your motorways, or is it freeway you call it out there? People driving by asleep at the wheel because the car is driving them. How dangerous is that?
Oh, no. If the car is driving itself, it can. But like I said, what Tesla actually said, I just listened to him for 2 hours. He says the percentage of error is 200 to 300 times not going to happen compared to a human. So he's trying to tell the world that his cars are 10 times, 100, 200 times better than a human being in a car. So yeah, people are going to be sleeping in the car while they're going to work. They could be smoking, partying, doing whatever they want before they get to work. So it's going to be good for those kind of people, but realize what it does to the world. Realize where this technology comes. The only reason why I'm bringing it up, where do you think we got this technology from?
Tommy, sorry to interrupt you. You have people in your live chat room?
What was it?
You got people in your live chat room.
Oh, Mr.
Come on.
Tinfoil Hatter. Yes, greetings. And I got bells going off.
Hello. So, I think it's one of our old callers.
Well, he calls in all the time. Greetings. What I wanted to say is, And now this is a fact, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. I saw personal notes of Tesla saying he worked with aliens. So realize this person came up with 200 inventions beyond the wildest dreams of all the people on this planet put together. So how smart was he? Smart enough to work with aliens. Einstein himself also said he worked with an alien. And I'm going to put this out there. The alien race that Tesla worked with are different than the aliens that Einstein worked with. Because the aliens that Einstein worked with gave him false information. All right. A lot of things Einstein said were not true. And they're only finding out now over the past 20 years. Like we can go faster than the speed of light. We can't go backwards and forwards in time, which we can do now. Also, he said there's a maximum size of any object, which is also a lie. They found one of the biggest objects in the universe out there with their cameras and stuff. So, I mean, to me, they're major critical things to have backwards or wrong. So, but Tesla worked with these aliens and created quantum physics to reality. I mean, there were theories and ideas about it, but he created the idea and actually worked on the object for it to happen. So there's a big difference there. But the technology that Tesla brought to us is get him, but you have to ask yourself why. What did aliens expect us to do with that technology? And I'll debate anybody on that if they want to. I might do a show on that directly because it changed our reality at every level. I don't know if people know much about quantum physics and quantum mechanics, what it means, what it entails, and what you can do with it. It's totally like strange world, dimensional world, outer universes and stuff. So it's so different than our reality in the present.
I think quantum physics is applicable really to like the equation of PVP, isn't it? So if it's pressure underwater, I think the same pressure surely applies to space, and space is just a different version of the ocean, surely.
Well, quantum physics entails opening up a space right here. I can open up this space,
like a space envelope,
put something in there and close it. And then it's not there until I open it up and take it back out. So imagine that. What I'm looking for, once we create, this is the most, I would think would be the most amazing thing they could do. Have the ability to shrink or enlarge something. If you could take a house and shrink it to the size of a penny, imagine that. Just shrinking and growing. You could change everything because you could send a whole city in an envelope around, or a box around the planet.
See, aliens have that off to a T because they put you, it's going to sound crazy as hell, they put you in a bubble, like a sphere, like they put you in a bubble and put you into whatever time zone or memory they have, and you can go forwards and backwards in that bubble. It's quite freaky.
See, that I brought it up because you would probably be the first person to see things like that. Because you know what, I heard one speaker saying they were inside the ship, and it seemed like you could walk a mile in a ship. And in reality, the ship could have been an inch big. So, you know, their technology is way beyond ours. I mean, they could go through things. I mean, teleportation and things, which they have the ability to do.
Yeah, they come through a bedroom wall, right? No problem there.
Exactly. So now, you know, I'd like to bring things together. Like the original Fly movie came out when I was a little munchkin. And but what it was, they had two pods, and they put something in this pod, and they want to transport it to the other pod.
Jeff Goldblum,
yeah, and it worked. I mean, in the movie, it worked. But the problem with the Fly, a fly was in the chamber when he was in the chamber, so the molecules broke down, and they went like this. And when he came out the other side, there was half fly, half human, and a fly human, half man.
Malfunction.
Exactly. So, I mean, every time we move forward, we're changing so much reality. The slightest thing can go wrong and create a whole different reality than what we wanted. So the idea of having teleportation is great in one end. Like I said, all these things can prove good in one way, prove bad in another. Now, all Tesla's stuff that he was given by an alien, their brain, their technology, and like you said, time back and forth, they knew what we were going to do with that stuff. So it wasn't like, well, we'll give them a baseball bat and see what they do with it.
I think
So
we're looking at time in a flat view. From what I've seen and experienced, I think we look at time as a flat view and a timeline instead of looking at it like a curved ball with a slide ruler through it, if that makes sense.
What would time mean to us as humans if we didn't age? I mean, if we stayed a baby, it would be one thing. When you reach a certain age, you stay there. Imagine you grew from a baby to 24.
Horrific, surely.
But
you've got more people in your chat room saying hello.
So, greetings. Greetings, everybody in the chat room. I just want to say this. Now, like I said, if we have people doing all these things, okay, we come together at one point. But you have to realize what can go wrong with each point that we create with all these things, like we're talking about here. Now, time here in this dimension, in this reality, in the lower realm, which I call it, the first dimension, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, it's all in the physical reality, meaning the next world, the astral plane, is not part of this reality the way people perceive it to be. And then when you go past that world into the third realm, it's not like any of these. So again, we're dealing with the science and that other machine. I'm not going to mention it. That's the collider that actually changes it. But what that does is incredible. But nobody's talking about it. They don't admit what they do with it. But they're trying to create this space to go through this dimension into the other one. Whether they call it a parallel dimension or a different dimension, they'll find out soon enough where they're going if they ever get in there.
See, that's what I mean by the round ball with a slide ruler through it. I don't know how to describe it any better than that.
So, like when I say the future with the aliens, it's not going to be good or not good for the agenda of the human person. For the army, it's going to be a good agenda because they're giving them weapons. But for peace, love, compassion, no. For sex, I doubt it. Now, Tina has an idea of how aliens play with the producing of children. And it's not like the aliens were having sex with her or anything like that. They had their own way of doing that. Now, not to twist it, but when movies come out 20, 50 years before, Barbarella was a movie which was really bizarre. Jane Fonda's was Barbarella. And she's actually going in a ship and ends up going through time and all kinds of weird things happen. But it's funny, she meets this one race and she has to put her hands next to this guy and put his hands together and they take a drink and that's how they have sex. But there's this perverted guy that has sex a totally different way. But it's just, then she meets an angel and he's flying around with his wings and everything. And but technology doesn't have to do with spiritual anything. Awareness of God has nothing to do with what God wants or feels or thinks. So the eliminating of God is an alien idea. All right, it's not human. So people say, well, they didn't change it. They changed us. They made us. They created us. The Anunnaki created us. They did not create us, but they did program us. They taught us the things we don't need. Killing, sacrifice, all those imaginary words that aren't going to make things happen, even though people believe it. There's a cool commercial out about they're going to sacrifice this guy. And he goes, oh, can't you build a irrigation ditch and run the water down the mountain? And he goes, well, what about all these people here standing? They want to see something. Go, and he's got to jump into the lava. Anyway, and then they're looking, where's the rain? Where's the rain? Mm-hmm. So, people slowly realize ideas don't help make things better. And right now, technology, which most people believe is important and good, but when there's no jobs, all right, all these robots are doing it. They're working with races. If they teach them any abilities, it'll even be worse for the human race. The abilities like levitation and all those kind of things. If the average person has that, guess what would be happening to the planet? We'd be in serious trouble.
Well, I think there's more going on to society than meets the eye. 1 second, sorry. Oh, no, I'll leave it there. With
Well,
that, there's a lot. I think this COVID has definitely covered a lot of things, or things that were coming, and things going on. It's been quite convenient for the whole planet to be. I just sorry, I'm reading comments. For the whole planet to be in lockdown, so to speak, it gives people room to manoeuvre. But with that note, with room to manoeuvre and things being, you just reminded me. Last year, I don't know if anyone can tell me this. Do you remember there was a observatory in the States that was shut down by, was it the FBI or the CIA? Closed an observatory for national security reasons.
right.
And obviously they saw something that they should have done. Has anyone found out what that was? There's been no follow up, no protocols put in place, nothing's, no one's
No.
talking about that at
See,
all.
if we knew 1/10 of anything that the secret government was doing, we'd be mind boggled. I mean, I do. I know much of what they're doing. But, when I talk about it, I try not to talk about it too much because people say, "Oh, prove it to me." No, it's too late. I didn't get pictures of it. I wasn't allowed to get pictures of it. When I saw 2 ships get blown up, I was totally not ready to see that happen because I didn't have my camera on me. But technology is growing, and like you're saying, when they said that the aliens shut down all the nuclear bases on the planet for like an hour here on this base, and they went to that base and shut it down for an hour, 2 hours there. Well, can somebody prove that to us? And how do you shut a nuclear base down, and how do you know it's shut down? All the lights blanked out, went out, or by the same token, does that mean it could blow up easy? Really?
I think Gary Heseltine, I think he's the director or owner now of the UFO Truth magazine here in the UK, is actually making a film about RAF Bentwaters, when the aliens came over on the nuclear site where the Americans were in England, in Rendlesham Forest. And they're making a new film and documentary about the witnesses that were there and explaining how, like, this light came down and was on the silos where the all the weapons were in the weapons store, and the UFO they saw in the forest. So looking forward to that coming out. I think it's called Cable Green, guys, so keep your eyes open for that.
Well, the original book on that was called Left at East Gate, and Larry Warren.
Yeah,
Larry Warren was there, and I was hanging out with him for a weekend at a
I've
conference.
met Larry Warren. Yeah, he's going to be in the new film. He's in the new Cable Green film.
For 10 years, they blacklisted him in society. He couldn't even prove he was a real person. He even begged to go back in the army because he couldn't get any recognition anyway. He begged them to take him back in the army. But what happened to him? I'll make it real short. It's a really, really, really long story. I don't know. It's one of the fattest books I read in a long time. But in short, when the event happened, he saw the ship land, and he was walking towards it. He was recording the whole thing while he was walking towards it and everything. But when he went to call his family, he went into town, and he called his mother on the phone and told her what happened. When he came out of the bar, there was a car that picked him up, and they brought him to the base, and then they stuck him on the ground with the aliens. He was one of the only people that was stuck in the room with the aliens.
That conversation, I think, I'm not sure if they recorded it or they re-recorded it with his mother, and sadly she passed away. I'm not sure if it was last year or before she managed to pass away last year or the year before. They managed to get her voice for that recording for Cable Green, I believe. It's her actual voice, his mum.
Really?
Yeah, so that was a bit of a nod towards him.
But see, they knew what he did, and they were punishing him in a way, and they stuck him in them with it because he said he didn't know what he was trying to communicate with the aliens, but he couldn't. But see, now the other people that were involved, there was about 4 witnesses that'll talk.
No, there's more than that have come forward now.
Well, no, but basically, I'm talking when he was writing that book, when he came back.
At the time, yeah.
Only recently, the general, whatever he was called, the captain, admitted he touched the ship, and the other person that came out and saw it. So, I mean, they're coming out. I mean, there's people on coast to coast that have been talking about it every couple months, and they brought it up. But Even the person that wrote the book with Larry Warren saying it's all lies. So they must have got to him as well.
They got there's another witness, Steve Longero, who works for the sheriff's department. I think I know who. I think I've met Steve. I've got a picture of him somewhere. Yeah, there you go. And he's come forward as well now to say that he was on duty. There's Steve Longero and me.
Right there, stop.
Warren.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, it's Larry Warren, me, and Steve Longero. So I met these guys and we had a talk, and they're doing with a bit of a laugh, as you can see. And this is the producer for the Cable Green. His name is Dion Johnson, and there's me and him holding a Cable Green picture about the new film coming out. I think, I'm not sure if we went to the Cannes or something.
Okay, there it is. That's good. That's perfect.
Yeah, so that's about the new people that have come forward. There's been other witnesses and testimony come forward. I know there's been a lot of controversy, so keep your eyes open for the film, guys, because there's new information in it, and a lot more people now have had the confidence to come forward, which is a good thing. If you're never sure, talk to someone. Somebody else out there always knows somebody you can talk to. With that, moving on, I want to touch on something about, it was actually reported by CNN News, crop circles here in the UK, actually, where I live, and not far from where I live, a stone's throw. I live in southern England. It's Stonehenge. And in the southwest England this year, the first crop circles started appearing early in the year, and I think in the last week they've had maybe 2, 3 appear. So it's becoming like April, May, June is kind of peak season for the crop circles here in the UK. But so any of you crop circles and UFO viewers, I know that we can't congregate in huge groups, can go out and sky watch, and we've been seeing all kinds in the sky. And on that note, this year, or this last few years, we've entered a part of space. I was watching a program, it said that we haven't entered this part of space. Apparently our universe and the sun, and we rotate, but we go through space like this. And then the last 65 million years ago, we were up instead of coming down. Now we're back up. We're in that part of space again, where there's loads of space asteroids and debris. So last time we were in this part of space was about 65 million years ago. But before that, each time we've been in that part of space, in the upper region, as we've gone around the universe, extinction event has happened. We had the Neocene, and then you had all that extinction events. So we're going to start seeing more and more asteroids, apparently, but we're obviously due for a hit very shortly, because we've been seeing more smaller asteroids coming towards Earth recently. Anything on that, Tommy?
Well, if you base it on theory, the more things there are going around, the more chances of getting hit by them. But the problem is the government doesn't tell us much. And the past couple of things that have been found and cited and noted before it happened was by people, normal people with their own telescope. With the young person that came out with that telescope that spotted the one meteorite that was coming towards us before anybody else mentioned it. So imagine how this all took place 10,000 years ago. And if people say, well, there's no such things as aliens, well, based on just this one simple thing, the Mayan calendar, how was it created?
Why did they backdate it so far as well?
It's basically what happened was aliens gave them the technology and they told them what was happening. Because how would they know? See, when somebody says, oh, that didn't come around in 36,000 years, who was here 36,000 years ago to write it down and say it? See, they people are pretty much brain dead when it comes to real facts and trying to prove something to themselves even. Now, obviously, aliens live a lot longer than we do, for one thing. Yeah. And they're so much more advanced. They don't have to have a piece of paper, write it down, and store this piece of paper. It goes into memory, energy chips, and things like that.
Hive memory, hive.
Yeah, the hive memory. See, like you said, they work on that principle in a great way. I always said that. Now, how smart are the queen bee compared to the drones? A lot different. And but they all communicate to her. So that would be like God to us in a lower level. It sure would be. We will have to report and do whatever she wants us to do. But they're dedicated to that. I mean, I always compare that to animal. I mean, to ants. I had ant colonies,
Yeah, same
and I
thing.
had two separate colonies. I had two that connected the two and everything.
They have
But
queens, don't they? Once a queen dies, they all die.
but but I didn't have a queen.
Didn't you?
So, and I actually got more ants from California to put in with them. Without a queen, and you introduce an army to another army, everybody kills each other.
Yeah.
Uh, and they don't stop. But the one ant, I watched him. He was in a battle. He lost one of his legs, and he's pulling himself with his other arm, and he's pushing the stone like this. I said, he's doing this because he's in this program, and there's no queen that's able to say, run away, go hide, protect yourself. But it's like told to fight. Now, if we were programmed like that, I don't think the planet would have been here already, because when they told us about sacrifice, we only sacrifice a certain amount of people. I mean, even Moses, when he came off the mountain, killed 3,000 people. So there's this idea of killing, even though it's like part of the Ten Commandments that we shouldn't be killing, we're still doing it. So somebody's programming and still programming people.
Talk about programming, killing people. This is right up your street. Sorry. Another piece of news I happen to peruse. In Nome, Alaska, in the 12th of April 2012, this year, people, I received a news report, an alien news update from a magazine from in Nome. It's like a thing. Anyway, it said it does follow-ups. So it says in this, it was produced on the 12th of April 2012 in Alaska, Nome. Numerous reports of UFOs are still going on as more people have been reported missing in Nome. With these disappearances, they've been looking at historical cases. And apparently, Alaskan State Police recorded on the 5th of October in 2000 on state police video, because they've it in their cars, a huge UFO saucer was actually hovering over a house, where it was later found that people had been abducted. So but they've not been returning. The people in Nome, may I add, it's not like me or other people who some people, they give a choice to, would you like to stay with us? You have to agree. If they're agreeing, then fine, they've gone with them. But huge amounts of people have disappeared and never been found, with more and more reports. Now, this one actually comes from a state policeman, to state a huge UFO was seen on his camera footage, and they have other testimony to say that this has been happening. Of course, in 2009, they actually based a horror movie, it's called The Fourth Kind, and that was based around the story of Dr. Abigail Taylor. But there's been more and more reports of UFOs and people still go missing in Alaska. Nothing's been done. But while we've been on lockdown, all this news is surfacing. It's also reported in the media somewhere. I'm also back to work at the place where I work at the zoo. And one of the lads came in today and said to me, it was announced all over the news that UFOs are real. I'm like, yeah, I know. He said, but the world's ignoring it. I'm like, they've been saying they're real for years. They are real. It's just that you've actually seen it on the news for once. But so what's your take on that? They've got testimony, people missing, and actual police officers with videotape, with evidence, with federal evidence to state UFOs are coming down. And thank you very much. And they have all this evidence of people being abducted over the homes. These UFOs have been seen over the homes of people that are taken and not returned. Why that area?
Well, there's an area here in Hawaii that's hot too. But I didn't talk to them. I didn't meet them, so I don't know why it's so hot. But we have ships going into the ocean here. I can't say a lot of the information about it, but I will say this: there's two different bases here, off in the ocean, off the island. I'm on the Big Island. One I will say is the Pleiadians, and they go down and they have a base under. But there's another race that has a base here too. But the ships look like green giant balls of light going into the ocean. And if you talk to a lot of the people here, they all have their experiences. They all had one, or they have them. And somebody, my partner's friend, said he just had a giant ship go over him last week. So they're even pretty that open about being out. I mean, if I go out in the morning, there's so many above me and stuff, and then I got three people in three different houses around me, all going out looking at ships now all the time and telling me, "Did you see it last night? Did you see it?" So something's happening, and I can tell you by my experience, Tina's experience, and everybody I talk to, work with, and things like that. Uh, it's my viewpoint. You don't have to agree with it. Only time will tell and show the truth. But when people say there's good and bad aliens, we can say there's good and bad people, but we're all people. We have basically the same agenda, all right? Trying to survive. So, and we need money. And that's money is usually the root to all evil as it is to all good. Uh, People kill because they need money. People steal because they need money or food. So, outside of that, we all have the same goal: have a family. What else was our goal? I want to be famous. See, there's nothing different there. There's nothing pertaining to spiritual growth. And what
Well,
that
you don't have those goals or can't achieve them. Your programming is different because mine seems to be different.
well, what can we attain in this reality, really, as far as a lifetime of 125 years? What are you really going to achieve in that time frame? Oh, I invented a car. I invented a baseball bat. I invented a shoelace. I invented a zipper. I mean, what
Knowledge
is
gathering. I'm not sure.
knowledge?
Gathering. I'm not sure.
Scientific knowledge always proves itself wrong. And in time, they prove whatever they came up with wrong. Like they proved a lot of Einstein's stuff wrong. And they considered him the most smartest person on the planet. Uh, they didn't prove Tesla wrong in anything because everything he created is being used now at some level or will be. I met a guy who was Better World Technologies. I don't know where he was from, if he was human even, but he created the dome homes. He
Oh,
created a noiseless jackhammer. He created a lot of things, but the government was on top of him. He was in jail twice. He
they
had
have a Ford. Sorry, Tommy. They have now a car company. It might even be Tesla. They have a car company now that's is a soundproof dog kennel for fireworks and that. I'm not sure they advertise it as. I'll find the link for it. A dog company actually made a soundproof kennel for dogs. Has lights in it. There's no sound that can get it whatsoever for fireworks and things like that. It's fantastic. I'm not sure where you can get it from. They advertised it last year, and that's from a car company.
Well, would it be the whole building or just the room that they put the dog in?
That's an actual huge dog kennel. It's like
the whole kennel itself, right?
Yeah. It's completely
cool.
soundproof. No sound goes in there whatsoever. Completely soundproof.
I mean, in my neighborhood, we would have to have that for every house around here because there's so many houses with like 6 dogs and they're all out all night long. But let's get back to these aliens coming here. People listen to these stories, and there's multiple stories out there, and there's all these conferences. The conferences are being done online now because they have to, and they want to make money, so they got to do it online. There's another one that's probably running right now. There'll be another one coming up soon. Also, I'll say, watch your money, because we're in this situation where money is really critical right now. And to spend a couple $100 to listen to people tell you what we're telling you, but exaggerated and 10 times more outrageous, but it's not going to help you. What I did want to say, when we say good and bad aliens, I wanted to get back to that. Good and bad people. We have the agenda, the same thing, is to build a house, have a car, survive. Outside of that, there is no agenda. I mean, now the newest agenda for certain people is to get up in space. Now, like they're going to try to do a movie in space next year. So that's a big agenda, but how important is it to you? Is it going to help you with your food? Is it going to help you with your sickness? Is it going to help you with anything? Before I go any further, anybody that watches this video or show, whatever you want to call it, please send it to everybody you know. I'm going to say something right now. Come after me if you want to, but the truth is, this virus is curable. Simply, you don't need money to cure yourself of it. Anybody that gets it has it, or you know anybody that gets it or has it. The simplest way to get rid of it, the government won't say it to anybody, because then it will make all these doctors around the world look ignorant, which they are. What kills the virus it's not even a virus, but what kills it
Bacteria,
is steam. If you go in a sweat lodge, if you know what a sweat lodge is, if you go in a sauna room and you make sure it's really hot, you have to breathe in really deep because you got to fill your lungs with steam, not just more, not, you have to inhale it.
I thought the
And if
Italian,
you do it,
sorry, Tom, I thought the Italian doctors did autopsies because they weren't supposed to do autopsies, and they did a different autopsies and said that they just should be treating it with antibiotics and anti-inflammatories. It's that simple. They said it's a bacterium and not a virus. So they said the Chinese only did 3 or 5 autopsies at the beginning to say that, but they did quite a few autopsies, the Italians, and they weren't supposed to.
well,
And they said it's a bacterium.
well, they tried 100 people with the steam and it cured every single one of them. All right. You got to do it for 15 minutes. You got to inhale real deep. Now, the virus will die when it gets hit by steam, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It'll kill it if it's in your blood, in your throat, wherever it is, it'll kill it. But you have to do the steam thing, and you have to do it. If you can't get to a sauna, you can't get to a sweat lodge or anything like that, you go into your kitchen, put a towel over your head, over pot. Make sure you don't set the towel on fire, but you boil water and you stay over that and breathe the steam.
Old-fashioned remedy, basically.
That's the old remedy that it was cure for a cold, wasn't it? Yeah. But it does kill the virus, not cure it, kill it.
So just before we wrap things up, Tommy, I just a couple of things I want to touch on just very quickly. I watched a program this week about angels and space angels, and it's becoming more frequent. There's a place in the UK that spotted this huge thing last year outside the International Space Station, and they said they didn't believe in UFOs and they didn't believe in all this space nonsense and all this, and they spotted it on a telescope. And I think they were a bit devastated to find out that this thing was actually real. They said it was huge, and there's a picture which I've once seen. But on this documentary, it said the first Japanese astronaut in space spotted this thing, and he actually heard knocking on the inside of his capsule, which he didn't report at first. And 2 Russians, which they thought was a leak on their space station, they thought they were hallucinating, said that they saw humanoid beings with wings, huge ones, outside their space capsule. On another mission, 6 cosmonauts, also all 6 reported seeing the same beings. Now that's 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 9 astronauts and at least 4 or 5 people on Earth. So that's 13 people, all professionals, all to do with space agency, that are reported seeing these things. So I think that's something that should be looked into a bit closer. I can't quite read the video feed, it's going a bit quick. But just before we go on that, I'll chuck it back to you in a second, Tommy, to come up with something like that. I just want a response. Just a shout out to Skinny Bob Band here in the UK. They've done a little ditty for us, but I haven't had a chance to play it. I've been gone through it and I can't get it to play. So shout out to them. And I think that's probably about it for me here in the UK. You can find me. My name's Tina Bird. You can find me in Hive, Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials. I'm Tina Bird on Facebook. You can find me on all the other social media, but Facebook's the way to go, and on Hive or just on Tina Bird. Tommy, from me here in the UK, I'm going to say goodbye. I'll chuck it back to you for your last words before you say goodbye.
You're leaving so early. Why?
I thought we had our time, but my clock's...
It's 15 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Oh, is it? My clock's wrong. How
you can leave. You can leave if you have to, but
No. Sorry, I do apologise, people. My clock is wrong on my computer.
One last thing on that, I want to just tell you about the steam thing. I have somebody put it in the chat room too. If you're going to do that and you need to do it, just be careful. You don't want to burn your lungs completely. I was in a sweat lodge, and I could tell you it was the hottest thing I ever experienced in my life. And we stayed, two of us stayed in there for almost 40 minutes, and it felt like it was burning our lungs apart. Even the medicine man had to leave. He came back in, and he made us both get out. But he was trying to prove how powerful he was, and he gave us a chant to chant while we were in there, and we were chanting away, and he had to get out, and he expected us to follow him, but we didn't, and we both wouldn't give up. It's like, you leave first. No, you leave first. And we both decided we were going to stay in there.
Hey, children.
Then when the medicine man came in, he says, "This is it. You just got to get out. It's over," and he made us get out. But no, be careful if you do use steam. It can burn your lungs, but you need to get hot steam in your lungs to kill the virus. All right, now, okay, we have a few more minutes, Tina, so we can.
Look at it. I don't know why my clock's on.
Wow, that's strange. Yeah, your computer clock. Some computers have a battery. Mine's based on the computer time anyway. It should be the new. How new is your computer?
You.
Oh, all right. Well, that's bizarre. I would check all your files as well, because if somebody got in your computer, that could happen. Here's the thing. We have aliens around us right now. I mean, we have walk-ins, people that say they're walk-ins. We have clones, drones, and all these other words. Do you see him? Well, I know this guy must be a drone, or he must be a clone. I mean, when they show videos of like Hillary, and she's like this in a video, oh, see, she's an alien. See, her real face is coming out. You know, when the Skull and Bones came out, which is a real organization, and Mr. Bush's father and son were both in it, there was a video put up, and inside the cult where they were doing it with the skull walking around with the grill on the table, the whole thing. It was only about 15 seconds long, but nobody cared about it. And this was a video. It wasn't made. It was real. A person got out of there with it. So, you know, what we see when they see UFOs, I mean, you could say nothing's real, but put it this way. Out of 1 million pictures, if one of them's real, guess what? They're real. So just because you don't see it and don't experience it, don't feel it or hear it, doesn't mean it's not real.
The governments now, China have come out and said yes, they're real. The Americans have come out with that. Is it the F-16 footage? I'm not quite sure. The plane footage. The British government have come out and said that you know the films are real. If they're real, UFOs are real because they can't identify what's on there.
Well, all I'm telling people,
went to land, didn't they? Or crash.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to say, I have a book. It's called "How to See a UFO Field Manual." It's a file. So if you're interested, text me at hawksblood1@aol.com. I will send it to you, and it's about 200 pages, and it gives you all the things you need to see a UFO: how, where, when, things you do, and also what to think about and what not to think about, what you want to bring into your life and what you don't. So it's not that complicated, but it will give you, and I promise you, if you read the book and do what I tell you in the book, you'll see UFOs. It's that simple.
Come to my house, or come to my house and just look up. You just see them.
I've been so many places, and I see them wherever I'm at. So it's not like, well, you're in a lucky spot. No, right where you are, they're flying over you. Because to get to my spot, they had to fly over your spot. To get around where they travel, they're going over everybody. So, but here's the thing. From just some of our knowledge, I was with Sergeant 18, and we used to set the camera out for an hour at a time. And then we would watch that in slow motion. They're not moving slow. Most of the ships are traveling. They're not stopping to say hi to people on this planet. They're just going like that at the speed of light. So the only way you can see that, the camera we had shot 300 frames a second. 300 frames a second.
Wow.
And you have to watch it in super slow motion. So you watch one frame of the 300 going by. It's a long time to watch an hour film. But in that time frame, we had a ship stop, shoot 3 ships out, and then take off in about 4 frames. So they're not slow. They don't move like this, like some people do. And they don't travel like this. I mean, if they want to stop and cruise, I'm sure they can. But a lot of times, the ones that we can't see them, not because they're not there, just because they're traveling too fast. But one other thing, a clue, if you want to have incredible experiences, if you got money, I don't, if you buy yourself night vision glasses, a good pair is $3,500. But if you buy them, you'll never want to take them away from your eyes and look at the sky. It's so exciting, so crazy. You won't believe what's happening in the sky at night with them on. I'd do anything to get a pair. I mean, I almost had a pair, but the person who was involved in the UFO world had about 15 pair.
Hold on, Elon Musk, please, if you're saying this, because you do Elon Musk does a UFO blog. I'm going to try and get hold of Elon Musk, or probably email him or write him a letter And I'm going to ask for paranoid vision goggles for you, Tommy. Someone
Yeah,
please.
tell him to
Tommy,
send me a pair, and I'll give him every picture I shoot of a UFO.
please, somebody send him to him.
But
Send him a pair.
Mr. Bigelow's the one that'll pay money for it. Seriously, he's got the space stations up there. He's the one that had the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
the special was on TV, and I thought sure something good was going to come out of that. After the whole, I don't know, there was about 8 of them or 6 of them, somewhere in between there. I watched them all, and they dragged out each little scene, saying, "Oh, it's radioactive." They showed one ship in the air. They showed They showed you one cow mutilated, and one cow bitten. And now they were saying some creature was walking around and chomping.
The llama, wasn't it? The llama got bitten.
Yeah, the llama. But and that was it. So this big movie production that took months and months and months to create showed very little as far as what the Skinwalker Ranch was, or what. Now Bigelow sold it to this guy. He's the one that came out there, and then they were worried about everybody getting hurt. Come on, if somebody got bit by an alien, it would be the biggest news story on the planet.
I think they were trying to say some kind of wolf or a dog or something. But I'd love to walk around. Well, just go there and paint. Just sit there and just see what happens. Have an abductee on Skinwalker Ranch and film it, because I'm quite happy to go there. If you're going to pay me to go to Skinwalker Ranch, I'd love to go and see that place.
Here's a place. Wait. Before we lose our time, I was friends with John Edmonds. All right, I'm not friends with him. I'm not friends with him right now, for certain reasons. I mean, I'm not going to get into that, but where he lives is one of the most important vortexes on the planet. He's right next to an alien army base, all right? And his house is directly over part of that vortex. So he has every kind of entity, alien ship flying over him, around him, creatures coming on. He's been abducted. His wife's been abducted and sexually raped and on the ship and all that kind of stuff. He has guns around the house, and he handcuffs his wife to the bed so that they don't take her. That's what he thought anyway. So this place, he did a couple shows on TV already. If you get in touch with him, he'll let you come out there. He was trying to start like a community where people can come and talk and a workshop and all that. I'm not going to put the word spiritual in anything he claims or says, because I would say that's void of that. But if you want to see demons and spirits and ghosts and goblins, whatever the words you want to use, plus multiple ships, it is a place to go. And I promise you, what was that?
Where is that?
Stardust Ranch in Arizona.
Tell him to send me a ticket and I'll go and have a look, because after what I've experienced, I don't think.
Oh, no. You got to pay him to go on a ranch.
Yeah, I don't think so then. I don't think pay to get abducted, so I ain't paying to go there.
He has a horse. He has a horse farm, and he tries to get money for the horses. So get in touch with him. I don't talk to him. They wanted me to. He put a new book out, and it's doing really good. It's called The Stardust Ranch, The Truth. But I was out there. There's just things everywhere. I mean, you shoot pictures of 100 orbs outside around the horses and things. It's crazy. But he has a piece of land that's really valuable. Bigelow almost bought it. When he sold the Skinwalker Ranch, he was thinking about buying the Stardust Ranch. But if you really want to go to a place that's filled with that, it is a place to go. I mean, any psychic that goes there gets blown away. Any so-called alien people go there, they're blown away. So please, I'm not promoting them because I like them. I'm promoting it because it is a place of interest for anybody that's involved with want to see UFOs or anything relating to that.
I might have to go there and have a look. I'm not paying to do it.
But people, you're not protected when you go there. Remember that. He's not going to give you any protection that's going to protect you.
You're at home in your own bed, so I won't worry about it.
Well, his wife was taken out of the bed as well. So,
she was handcuffed.
His dogs go crazy in the middle of the night when entities come around. His horses go crazy. So I'm serious about that. And I'm sure if you give him a couple of dollars, he'll let you come there, because he's kind of low on money. He's got 19 horses, and he barely paid for the food to feed them. So he's trying to do some shows. He's trying to make it famous to pay everything and do everything. But I'm serious. Out of all the places that I went, even Montague, New Jersey, when I worked with Sardell 18, which was the most important vortex on the planet, because that's where Tesla worked, and that's where the whole opening of the astral plane into this world happened. That'll be another show. You can listen to that on my show if you want, because we try to keep it a little geared to this. But aliens are involved at every level. So if you can't do anything at your house, John Edmonds, it's with the S on the end, just type Stardust Ranch. Please, if you want to see that stuff, and really, I know James Gillen has his ranch as well, the ESETI Ranch, and claims all these things. But this is a ranch with every kind of energy, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, a girl sleeps there. They usually wake up with aliens attacking them, or they're running out. They're leaving the farm right away. So you put on your,
I don't want to know.
put your steel boots on and your hard hat with whatever shields around it. But it's a cool place to go for that.
Right, before we go, please, if anyone could give us a heads up to what is going on in Nome, Alaska, and any further details on abductions or any updates, we'd be truly grateful. Also, if anybody has feedback about the observatory last year in the US that was shut down by authorities, and anything light-hearted we'd like to hear about as well concerning aliens or abductions or serious things. We look at everything. And crop circles, we're open to that. It's the time of year they're appearing in Britain. If I can get you some pictures, guys, or go out and have a look, I will, because the COVID thing is hopefully being lifted here in the UK. And if you'd like to speak to me or Tommy privately, you can email us both or message us both. We're both here every week. If you want to come on the show or be a guest, please message or email us, or you can Tommy will try and post a link a bit more often, and we'll come on Tuesday night and you can come and speak to us or ask questions. I've been Tina Barrett here on Hive here in the UK, and I'd like to say good evening and good night. And it's been a pleasure, Tommy, as always.
Well, it was the same here. Pleasure having you on. I'm glad we got back on. We had a few problems over the past couple of weeks, but there's so much going on. It's hard not to have serious problems going on. The last note, if you do want to go to that ranch, Stardust Ranch, he'll talk to you. You can mention Hawksblood, say they said it would be a good place to go, and I'm sure he'd set you up to come. He's open to guests. He's got so much property there, but it's not a safe place. That's all I can say. If you're going to go there, it's not like you're not going to kindergarten land. You're not to go into the magical land. You're going to the energy of all kinds of things. But with that, have a good day, week, and until next time. Hawksblood1AOL.com, Skype, Tommy Hawksblood. Pleasure. If you want to get onto Skype, Hawksblood11.
See you later. No, I just said hi. Goodbye.
There's a Hive leaving us. It was always a pleasure. Did we record the show? Yes, it's all recorded. It'll be on YouTube, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I'll put it on as well.
I do a couple other shows, but you can come on them as well anytime. I'm open for debate. Debate anything about spiritualism, religion, God, death, and you name it. So till then, bye, Tina. Bye, everybody out there in the real world. Till next time. It was a pleasure, everybody. Tune in again. And send this link to everybody you know if you can. We want to bring a little more publicity. We're not doing this for money. Tina's not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for money. This is only to talk about truth at any level, and what's really going to happen and what's happening. We didn't get into it too detailed. We got into a lot of subjects today. Next week, we'll try to keep it a little more fine-tuned. All right. With that, peace. Till next time.